For nearly a decade, the CIA had a mole, not a suspected mole, not a theory. A confirmed active Soviet spy sitting inside CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, attending meetings, reading classified files, and every few weeks driving to a dead drop location and leaving envelopes stuffed with the names of American intelligence assets behind the Iron Curtain. By the time he was caught, 10 CIA operatives had been executed by the Soviet Union. His name was Aldrich Ames, and for 9 years he was the most damaging spy in American history. This is his story. Rick Ames, as his colleagues called him, was not who you'd expect a traitor to be. He was a 30-year CIA veteran. He had security clearances at the highest level. He ran Soviet counterintelligence operations, meaning his entire job was catching spies like himself. He was also, by most accounts, unremarkable, a mediocre officer, known for drinking too much at office parties. Passed over for promotions, struggling with debt after a costly divorce. In 1981, he met a woman named Rosario at a diplomatic event in Mexico City. She was Colombian, sophisticated, expensive. Rick Ames wanted to impress her, and in April 1985, facing $50,000 in debt, he walked into the Soviet embassy and offered to sell America's secrets. His asking price, $50,000. What he got in return would change his life completely and destroy the lives of everyone he betrayed. These people risked everything. If caught, they would be executed. Ames knew all of their names. In June 1985, just 2 months after his first contact with the Soviets, Ames walked into a restaurant in Washington, D.C. for what looked like a routine lunch meeting. He brought a bag with him. Inside that bag was 7 pounds of classified CIA documents, including the identities of virtually every Soviet asset the CIA had recruited. In exchange, he received $2.7 million over the next 9 years, eventually rising to a total of $4.6 million, the largest cash payment ever made by the KGB to an American spy. Within months, CIA assets behind the Iron Curtain began disappearing. Officers were recalled to Moscow, arrested, shot. Inside the CIA, analysts were confused. How was the KGB finding their people so fast? They suspected a mole, but couldn't find one because the mole was running the investigation. For years, the CIA searched for answers. They looked at communication failures, at technical breaches, at the possibility that the KGB had simply gotten smarter. But by the late 1982, it was becoming impossible to ignore. In 1991, a joint FBI and CIA task force was formed specifically to find the mole. And slowly, the evidence began pointing toward Rick Ames. His lifestyle didn't add up. On a government salary of around $60,000 a year, he had paid cash for a $540,000 house. He drove a Jaguar. Aldrich Ames pleaded guilty to espionage and tax evasion in April 1994. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. His wife Rosario, and who had known about his activities and helped him spend the money, received a 5-year sentence. The human cost of his betrayal was devastating. At least 10 CIA assets were executed as a direct result of information Ames sold to the KGB. Others spent years in Soviet prisons. Entire intelligence networks that had taken decades to build were dismantled overnight. The CIA underwent one of its most significant internal reforms in its history, tightening financial monitoring and polygraph requirements. And Aldrich Ames, the man who sat in CIA headquarters for 30 years, sits in a federal prison in Terre Haute, Indiana to this day. He has never expressed remorse. What makes the Ames case so disturbing isn't just the scale of the betrayal, it's how ordinary he was. Not a mastermind, just a man who wanted money. Who made one decision in a restaurant in 1985 and spent the next 9 years pretending everything was normal? The CIA never saw it coming because they weren't looking for someone ordinary, and that perhaps is the most unsettling lesson of all. If you want to see more stories like this, real cases, real consequences, real secrets, subscribe. I cover a new case every week. Next week, the Soviet sleeper agent who lived as an ordinary American family man for 20 years. I'll see you then.